Chương trình này được bảo trợ bởi
Family Joy, tổ ấm y tế của mọi gia đình, 714 898 0765.
Hi, welcome back to the OC Health and Education Show on Little Saigon TV. This is our special New Year show. We want to talk about what kind of resolutions we can make and who is out there to help us fulfill some of these dreams and aspirations that we have. Today on our show, we have Vicente Sarmiento, the current mayor of Santa Ana, but the Orange County Supervisor-elect for District 2, hoping to represent and will represent so many more of our community. Just before the commercial break, we did touch on, the needs of the community, and you mentioned that there are more people experiencing homelessness. The misperception is that people who are homeless are doing drugs and they're having all of these other things. But what I learned from one of my guests in the past show, from the vision, the mission of Hope, is that, Hope the mission, is that they're building tiny homes. And in LA, and these are like 100 or 200 villages that are transitional homes to help people. But what I learned about it is that it's more of a life experience that changed. It might be you losing a job and you become homeless. It might be losing even like a spouse and not having that income, or having a divorce. So life occurrences happen, and it puts people in these kind of predicament. We're hoping that the city understands that these people are not all drug addicts. They're not all mental health people, but they're real people first. I oftentimes, our old mentality is say the homeless people. But as we change even the way we use a word, we're saying that the people that are going through a tough time, or people that are unhoused. What are some of the ways you want to help the community reframe how they see someone that is not being housed at this point?
So I love what you just said, Julie. People first language, right? It's people experiencing homelessness. It's not that somebody is homeless. It is a person that's going through some sort of crisis that triggered that trauma that put them out in the street. It could be as simple as not being able to afford your rent. It could be a catastrophic injury. I was a bankruptcy attorney and for many years, and I represented Chapter 7 trustees. I saw many families that unfortunately, because of an illness, because of something, with their job, they found themselves without any options. And so that's not the society that we should have. We should strive for a society that is able to make sure that people who are going through a crisis, going through trauma, does not end up on the street. Because I think the substance abuse, the criminality, happens once a person is on the street. They're not people who are abusing that causes the being homeless. So I think we get the sequence wrong. So to the extent we can prevent people from becoming houseless is a real goal of mine, because we know that some families live paycheck to paycheck. If we can keep those people housed, that means that's one less family that we're going to have to care for on the back end and provide housing, counseling, all these other very costly efforts, and not just fiscally costly, but it's costly on a person. The dignity gets eroded. That sense of having your autonomy and independence gets taken away. That causes trauma down the road. So my hope is that we can keep people housed, we can keep people supported, so we decrease the number of people who are experiencing homelessness. And when we deal with that issue, just being humane, being civil to people, and understanding these were once people that were our neighbors. These were once people that had parents and had siblings and had people who loved them. And so I think we need to approach them from a different paradigm. Instead of seeing it as a nuisance, you see it as one of society's challenges that amongst all 34 cities, if we can do this right, it's a regional problem. It shouldn't be shouldered by one community, one supervisorial district, or one city. It has to be all of us pitching in.
I think it's really important that we see them as human first, and giving them the human dignity. Because when I work in the disability space, when we see someone, some people prefer to be called autistic. But oftentimes, when I work with people, and especially when we're trying to connect them to jobs and skill set, is that they're people who want to be a contributing member of society. These are people who want to be independent. These are people who want to have jobs, but they have some challenges and some hurdles that may be bigger than the person right next to them. That I'm hoping that we have a city and a group of leaders who is able to help them access more services and access housing. I know with me, when I talk in the community, I always like disability rights is civil rights, and I almost feel that housing is basic needs. That it is a right of a human to be housed, to have food on their table. Because when we as healthcare professionals work, we feel that those who don't have permanent housing or stable housing, food on the table, or even a steady source of income, that impacts their ability to contribute into the community. What are some of your thoughts on just the mindset of the community as they move forward in the holiday season and even throughout the year? Because when I see someone with a sign, I always ask them, what else can I do to help you? But not just giving them what I think they need, but really, having a conversation to even shake their hands. I think in the former interview that I did with the mission of the Valley, I said one day I was walking, past this lady that was homeless and sitting on the ground, and I shook her hand and I apologized for not being for all the people that passed her by. And to me, that was such a pivotal point in my life that I knew that in the past, my language wasn't person first. The language that we were taught in this culture is that this is a lifestyle they chose. But I realize now it's not a choice, but sometimes a disability makes it really hard for them to get back on their feet, and they need that additional support. So what are your hopes as we close out the program today for the future, for the New Year's, for our community, and as we open up this dialogue together?
My hope is very simple when it comes to that, is that, we continue to, face the challenge, to be able to, provide support where it's needed, but more importantly, that we don't become callous or indifferent. And that's really the fear, is that, as you said, it starts looking like a problem that isn't a human problem or a human condition. And I do agree with you that housing, to me, is a fundamental right. And I think for us in here in the United States, and especially here in Orange County, being such a wealthy county, we pride ourselves in being leaders. And so for us not to be able to lead on this issue is something that is disappointing. But I think that that's where the hope is. That's where the optimism is that I see more people understanding that, we're talking about, again, people, families, children. And so if they're not, our priority, if we can't see this not just as a, as a nuisance, but this is human capital that we're losing. These are people that can be viable contributors to our society and our economy. And I think, you put it well. I mean, giving somebody a job, giving somebody a purpose really will address a lot of the concerns that I think, people are going through. I think when a person feels like they're abandoned, they're neglected, they have no way of being part of a functioning society, it does spiral. And that's when, I think other bad actors prey on them, whether it's with, substances, whether it's just with abuse and harm. But we as, I think, there's more of us good actors than there are bad actors. And together and collectively, I think that we'll be able to handle this problem better.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And I have so much hope and aspirations for the new year. And thank you for being available to have this dialogue and open up the dialogue for more of the community to partner with you to make this a better year ahead. Julie, một lần nữa muốn cảm ơn quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV. Hôm nay mình có một cái thời gian rất là đặc biệt nói chuyện với thị trưởng của thành phố Santa Ana và cũng là cái Orange County elect Supervisor cho địa hạt 2. Hôm nay Julie đặt hỏi rất nhiều câu để cho mình hiểu làm sao cộng đồng Việt Nam của mình hay cộng đồng của mình hợp tác với Supervisor. Tại Vicente nói đó là trong thành phố quận Cam của mình là very a rich county, là có rất nhiều tiền, mà tại sao mình vẫn có nhiều người có bị homeless hay không có nhà cửa, thì mình phải làm sao để giúp cho mọi người trong cộng đồng của mình. Mình muốn là làm prevention, là làm trước khi họ có cái khó khăn đó, hoặc chừng nào họ mới bị cái khó khăn đó, làm sao mình có tìm dịch vụ, họ tạo ra nhiều dịch vụ để giúp cho cộng đồng của mình. Julie hy vọng là trong cái năm tới, quý vị có rất nhiều hạnh phúc và có nhiều cái sự giúp đỡ trong cộng đồng của mình. Julie chúc quý vị rất nhiều sức khỏe và may mắn. Cảm ơn quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV.